1. Brown eyes. Brown eyes are the oldest eye color on Earth. Before any other color existed, every human being had brown eyes. And there's a powerful reason why. Your iris is packed with melanin, a dense biological pigment that acts like built-in sunscreen for your eye. When light hits a brown iris, melanin absorbs it instead of letting it scatter. That's critical. In the blazing sun of early Africa, brown eyes protected the retina from UV damage that could permanently destroy vision. Over 10,000 years ago, that was a survival advantage. Today, brown-eyed people still have statistically lower rates of UV-related eye conditions. But here's what most people don't know. Brown eyes aren't just brown. Catch them in candlelight or a low sunset, and golden flickers appear, scattered light playing across the outer layers of the iris. That's not your eyes changing color. That's physics revealing a structure most people never notice. Psychologically, studies show brown-eyed people are consistently rated as more trustworthy, more grounded, and more in control. There's a reason the group project leader is often the quiet one with dark eyes. People look at you and feel, without knowing why, that you're steady, that you've got it handled. Brown eyes don't dazzle, they don't shift, they absorb. And somehow that's the most powerful thing in the room. This little, 2. Blue eyes. Here's something most people never learn about blue eyes. Every single person with blue eyes on Earth shares one ancestor. Research published in Human Genetics traced all blue eyes back to a single genetic mutation in the HER2 gene, occurring between 6,000 and 10,000 years ago near the Black Sea. Before that mutation, nobody had blue eyes. The entire planet had brown. Then one person was born with a genetic switch that turned off full melanin production in the iris. And because of that one moment, blue eyes exist at all. But here's where it gets interesting. Blue eyes aren't actually blue. There's no blue pigment in your iris whatsoever. What happens is this. With almost no melanin present, when light enters the iris, shorter blue wavelengths scatter back out while the longer ones pass through. It's the exact same optical effect that makes the sky look blue. Your eyes aren't blue. They just scatter light the same way the atmosphere does. In Northern Europe, where winters are long and sunlight is scarce, having less melanin blocking light entry meant more photons reaching the retina, a real vision advantage in dim conditions. But researchers believe the real reason blue eyes spread so fast, going from 0 to 70 to 95% frequency in Northern Europe in just a few thousand years, wasn't just function. It was attraction. Blue eyes were so rare, so striking, that they became a powerful mate selection signal. Psychologically, blue-eyed people are often perceived as more sensitive, more open, and emotionally transparent. People project softness onto you, which is historically ironic, considering blue-eyed Viking warriors built some of the most feared civilizations on record. But also 3. Green eyes. Only 2% of the global population has green eyes, making them the rarest common eye color on Earth, and they don't happen by accident. Green eyes require a very specific genetic cocktail involving at least 16 different genes working in precise balance. Too much melanin and they shift brown. Too little and they turn blue. Green exists in a narrow sweet spot. Moderate melanin levels combined with a yellow pigment called lipochrome. When light interacts with that exact combination, it creates green. But what makes green eyes genuinely unusual isn't just their rarity. It's that they're chemically unstable. Green eyes are highly reactive to environmental changes. In shadow, they can appear mossy and deep. In direct sunlight, they shift golden green. Under certain lighting, or even depending on what colors you wear, they can edge toward hazel or blue-gray. This isn't perception. The light interaction with that pigment blend literally produces different hues. From an evolutionary standpoint, this adaptability likely helped in temperate, variable environments, forests, mountain regions, where lighting conditions change constantly. Moderate melanin means some UV protection plus enhanced light sensitivity. A balance between the extremes. Psychologically, green eyes carry what folklore built over centuries. In medieval Europe, they were associated with witchcraft and supernatural perception. In Greek mythology, with special powers. Even today, green-eyed people are consistently described as mysterious, intuitive, and one step ahead. There's a reason witches, spies, and protagonists in fantasy stories almost always have green eyes. Something about that shifting, unpredictable color makes people feel like you're hiding something, and they're drawn to find out what. Dental still 4. Hazel eyes are in a category of their own because they genuinely change. And it's not an optical illusion, it's real. Hazel irises contain intermediate melanin levels plus traces of lipochrome, and that combination interacts differently with varying light conditions. One moment they're green, the next golden, then brown. The shift is physical, driven by how the iris scatters light as your environment changes. Sitting between dark and light on the melanin spectrum, hazel eyes represent what researchers call evolutionary versatility. They offer moderate UV protection and reasonable light sensitivity simultaneously. Well-equipped for mixed environments, shifting seasons, and variable climates. About 5% of the global population has hazel eyes, most commonly in people of European and Middle Eastern ancestry. But here's what makes them genuinely unique. No two hazel-eyed people look the same. One person might have more green with scattered brown spots. Another more brown with green rings around the edges. Even identical twins with hazel eyes can have completely different iris distributions. It's a genetic blend rather than a fixed trait. Psychologically, hazel eyes read as emotionally expressive and unpredictable. People feel like they can watch your feelings move across your face, even when you're trying to hide them. You're seen as the kind of person who shifts your energy, your intensity, your mood. And that makes people simultaneously drawn to you and slightly uncertain about what you'll do next. Hazel eyes don't fit a category, which is exactly what makes them hard to look away from. The Silsil 5. Gray eyes are so rare that less than 3% of people worldwide have them. And most people have never seen a true pair in person. They look like fog or steel or smoke. Almost colorless but impossible to ignore. Gray eyes contain even less melanin than blue eyes, which creates something different from the Rayleigh scattering that makes blue eyes appear blue. Instead, with this extreme lack of melanin, light scatters diffusely across multiple wavelengths simultaneously, not just the blue spectrum. That's what produces the cool, silvery, neutral appearance. Depending on conditions, they can shift from silver to slate to subtly green functionally. Researchers believe gray eyes evolved as an extreme low-light adaptation, likely in Northern Europe, where overcast skies and limited sunlight were year-round realities. The broad wavelength sensitivity may have offered a perceptual edge in perpetually dim environments, but that comes with a cost. Like blue eyes, gray eyes carry very little UV protection. People with gray eyes need to be significantly more vigilant about sun exposure to prevent long-term damage. Psychologically, gray eyes are the most emotionally unreadable of all eye colors. The broad light dispersion makes the iris appear stable and neutral. There's less color variation to track, fewer shifts to read. People consistently describe gray-eyed individuals as calm, intelligent, and contained. There's a stillness in that gaze. People respect you before they know you. You don't have to raise your voice. Your silence already communicates something. Xenilso 6. Amber eyes are one of the most misidentified eye colors in the world, constantly mistaken for light brown or hazel, but fundamentally different from both. Found in less than 5% of people, amber eyes contain high levels of lipochrome with very little melanin, producing a solid golden, copper, or honey-colored iris that doesn't shift with lighting at all. Unlike hazel, which changes constantly, amber is stable, deeply richly golden under every condition. This exact coloration is also common in apex predators: wolves, owls, eagles, big cats. Researchers suggest this isn't coincidental. Humans may subconsciously associate the amber spectrum with alertness, focus, and dominance, traits that carry social weight, even when you're just walking into a coffee shop. From an evolutionary standpoint, amber eyes likely evolved less as a light adaptation and more as a visual social signal. Their striking appearance possibly accelerated through mate preference rather than environmental necessity. They're most commonly found in individuals of Southern European, Asian, and South American descent. Psychologically, amber-eyed people are perceived as intense, magnetic, and commanding, even without doing anything to project it. People notice you. They feel watched. Something about that warm, glowing iris reads as presence on a biological level. You don't look like you're blending in, and whether you want it or not, you aren't. Distal 7. Black eyes. Here's something most people never realize. True black eyes don't exist. What we call black is actually an extreme concentration of dark brown melanin, so impossibly dense that no light escapes the iris, and it appears completely black to the observer. And that density makes them the most functionally powerful eye color for UV protection. In equatorial regions where sun exposure is constant and intense, this level of melanin absorption offers maximum defense against UV radiation and glare. Darker eyes filter harsh light more effectively and remain visually stable under any condition. Unlike lighter eyes that scatter or reflect light in ways that cause strain, black eyes absorb nearly everything. Research confirms this results in significantly lower rates of sun-related eye conditions over a lifetime, a powerful long-term advantage for populations in Africa, South Asia, and Southeast Asia, where these eyes are most common. Psychologically, extremely dark eyes are consistently rated as powerful, private, and emotionally impenetrable. Here's the biology behind that perception. Melanin is so dense that pupil dilation, the physiological signal of arousal, fear, interest, or excitement, becomes nearly invisible to outside observers. People can't read your emotional response, and that absence of readable signal gets interpreted as control. Depth. Inscrutability. You're not doing anything different. But people feel like there's something beneath the surface they can't access, and that creates a perception of power that follows you everywhere. Benelso 8. Heterochromia. And then there's the condition that breaks every rule. Heterochromia, where a person has two differently colored eyes, or visible variations within a single iris, affects less than 1% of the global population, making it the rarest eye condition of all. In most people, melanin distributes symmetrically across both irises during fetal development. Heterochromia occurs when that symmetry is disrupted, usually by minor genetic mutations, mosaicism, or localized developmental changes that alter pigmentation in one iris only. In some cases, it can appear later in life due to injury, inflammation, or certain medical conditions. But in most people born with it, it's completely benign. The evolutionary significance isn't tied to light adaptation or melanin efficiency. It's about what heterochromia represents biologically: genetic variation and developmental flexibility. Some researchers suggest the mosaicism that causes heterochromia may have broader effects we're still studying, influencing more than just eye color. Psychologically, heterochromia breaks the visual symmetry humans are hardwired to expect in faces. And anything that breaks our expected patterns triggers a response: fascination, curiosity, or what researchers call an anomaly detection reaction. You're not just noticed, you're fixated on. Culturally, heterochromatic eyes appear in mythologies across the world, tied to duality, supernatural perception, divine connection. The perception hasn't changed much. People still feel it when they meet someone with heterochromia, that subtle sense that this person exists slightly outside the normal rules.